Seth Lundy, who is another guy who's at the moment getting a ton of buzz. Like, had some really good combine stuff, shot 40% from three, another 61% true shooting player, 6'6" wing, but he is older, 23 years of age, at Penn State. He's probably going to be, if drafted, all a second round player, but I haven't seen him actually appear in any mock drafts that I looked at yet, so he might have jumped into one or two of them. But I think I used this question about Seth. We'll talk about him in a second, but the addition of the third two-way contract coming in, what do you think that does to the second round of the draft? Does that lead to more of those situations where agents are like, hey, don't draft me, I've got these other situations lined up? How do you use that is impact it? Whereas, usually after, say, pick 45, those guys that get picked there, like, they're significantly worse a lot of the time than the undrafted players. How do you think that's going to change things?
Yeah, I think it might make it more extreme where more guys get drafted because they're okay with taking the two-way. They just want to hear their name. Whereas I think somebody like Mike Miles, I talked to a couple NBA scouts at the combine, and they said, we think he's better than a two-way. We may not draft him, but we know he's better than a two-way. And that kind of thing makes his stock, for example, hard to say. Seth Lundy may not want a two-way. He may think, hey, like him and his camp, they may say, hey, we know he can shoot the lights out. Like, that's a day one trait. That's not a two-way guy. That's a day one end of the roster spot. And if you draft somebody, you may say, all right, we have to give you the two-way. If we let him go undrafted, they may not honor that desire and say, hey, we want to sign with somebody who's all in on us and thinks that, he's worth it. So I think the third two-way is going to change a lot in that regard.
Back to Lundy, he obviously shot really well from three, 40% as a shooter last season for Penn State in his fourth season, but shot under 35 as a junior, 32% as a sophomore, 39 as a freshman, but that was on really small minutes, like 15 minutes a game and only 3 attempts per game. So is this one of those cases that I'm always skeptical about, shout out to Davion Mitchell, of becoming a good shooter as a senior? And does that translate? Is it real? Like that? Because that's a red flag to me.
I think it's real. The free throw percentage for the last 3 years has been pretty safely north of 80%, which is always a strong indication. When I talked to him at the combine, I asked him, I said, what changed? Like, you were an inconsistent shooter, and he acknowledged it. Like, he didn't take it as a slight. I said, what changed? And it was a really mature response. He goes, I told my teammates I want to do whatever it takes to win. I was a good defender as a junior, but I needed to shoot the ball better. So I did everything in my power to become a better shooter as a senior. And I worked in the offseason to get it, and the results showed. So I think he truly is a good shooter. In the combine scrimmages, he was doing everything. He was shooting standstill. He was hitting movement. He was hitting step back threes. Everything you can ask for a shooter, he did it. So I actually feel like it's pretty real.
Look, you're right. The free throw is really interesting over those 3 years, and he shot 87% as a junior on his free throws when he was only at 34% from three. So that is a good indicator. He shot the ball really well. There's a lot there, and he needs to be able to do that. But if we're going to talk...